Coming to you from Project 4 Studios in sunny Burbank, California, ArtSchool Records presents On the Green Couch. Happy 1 month anniversary, Raz.
Has it been 1 month exactly? No.
See, even the cars are honking for us. No, it's been a little bit more at this point.
Yeah.
At the time of this recording, anyway. I don't know when this episode's necessarily going to make its way out, but yeah, we've been going for just over a month now.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. We've talked to a lot of people. You know, I don't know if people know this, but we do more interviews than we actually do for episodes. So we have a backlog of interviews and, we've talked to some people that were really interesting and we just haven't had a chance to edit the things together.
We weren't so good at interviewing when we first started, so some of it is taking a little bit of time to parse.
Yeah, and that's true. But everybody that we've talked to has been really interesting, and there's like common threads that we find with a lot of artists and stuff like that. And
the lull.
The lull, yeah, the lull.
Lull. What else? Name another one.
Oh, content for content's sake.
Yeah.
And none of the things that when they're booked, it's not even, it's not taken into consideration, the booking.
And rock operas. Seems to come up a lot.
Yeah. Meatloaf has come up a lot. But it's interesting, and today I was dealing with some technical stuff, so it just kind of made me just watch YouTube while my raid was being rebuilt, and it got me out thinking about music videos. And a lot of these bands I know, they always go, it's the same thing. It's single and a video. Release a single, release the video. And you go, oh, okay, that's, I guess that makes sense. And then I started to think about it. And then a lot of these bands, a lot of these artists, they release it on their own YouTube channel.
Mm.
And most artists, and we're guilty of this same thing with our YouTube channel. It's an afterthought. It's something that okay, we'll just put videos on that or something like that.
No, we're just
right.
running the hot plate while we get the food ready.
Right. And most artists kind of do the same thing. It's their YouTube channel is the place where they put their videos. And it's kind of funny because, there's a lot of thought into distributing the music on like channels that have a lot of ears, like a Spotify or even SoundCloud or anything, that's always that thing, but it's the single or the song. It's got to get out on Spotify to get the streams, but the video that these artists actually put in even more effort into creating something cool, just go, well, we'll put it up on our YouTube channel,
which has 5 subscribers.
5 subscribers. Right. So it got me to thinking, it's like, why is that? I mean, the thought should be like, well, if we're going to invest several $1,000s in a companion piece to our song, why does it end up in the barren wasteland of just of like a YouTube channel that
I love you, I made you, I spent 9 months carrying you, and I'm throwing you in a gutter.
Right. So that kind of got me thinking about a lot of that. And I think a lot of artists miss that opportunity to really think about how they can take their video. And if it's just going to sit on a YouTube channel and get 200, 250 views, I mean, what inevitably is the point? Do you really need to have a music video? Because it's like playing at the hottest club in town, but playing in the hottest club in town to the bartender and the guy that watches the door. Yeah, totally. You're at the hottest club in town, but nobody is there. So that was kind of my, I guess.
Nice to be able to say you've played there, though.
Right. No, it's nice to be able to say, oh yeah, no, our video's on YouTube.
There's some sort of crazy stat about like how much is actively uploaded per day. It's like it's a wild, vast amount of content that's put up on YouTube every single day. It's really eclipsing the capacity of any entity, synthetic or natural, to keep track of
Yeah.
beyond metadata.
It's growing exponentially hourly. And that kind of like brings me to the content for content's sake thing. And you were touching on this on one of our podcasts about bad gas station coffee.
Is this our new
Yeah, no, it's a very, it's no, it's a, you know, it was
our
a very
new analogy?
it's a very astute analogy. And,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, because it is, you know, my philosophy anyways, is one of the reasons why people are, especially artists and musicians, are thinking that they always have to put out content is because the content carriers say that you have to put out content. You know, when we talk to certain people about, you know, plans and what they want to do musically and stuff like that, down the line, we get, oh, you know, the game is you have to continually create content. But when you look at who's saying you got to constantly create content, it's
The people who own the platforms which facilitate the content. It's the people who have a vested interest in making you believe that.
yeah. So I think that's my beef of the week, because we haven't had a talk for a while and I haven't had a beef, and you know,
He's been going vegan.
yeah, I'm going vegan. Everything now moves so fast that sometimes you have to kind of sit back and you have to look at it going, wait a minute. Yeah, no, the guy said I need brakes for my car, or the guy said we need a new television, but who is the guy? You know, you have to kind of take that into
He's the brake
consideration.
salesman.
And the more people that we've talked to, the more I hear the same stories, the more it makes me think about, well, wait a minute, why, you know, why do you have to have a music video? Especially if it's going to, like I said, sit on a YouTube channel with 200 views or even less, then why do you need it? If nobody's going to see it, then why do you need it? Or if you're a visual artist and you want to have companion pieces, why spend a lot of money to make one when you can just make, you know, we were talking to guys from Odyssey. And they're doing it on VHS, and they're doing a bunch, and they're really kind of thinking it through, and they're approaching it like a film, which is interesting. And that's a whole different thing. They're not just going, well, you know, this is our song and, oh, this is the companion video, to have something to say 2 weeks after the song is released when we have a video out.
That it's merely a promotional ploy.
Yeah.
To have an otherwise purposeless video accompany your song.
Right. The other thing is they have a shelf life.
I don't know what you're talking about. I still watch old music videos.
Yeah, old music videos for like nostalgia's sake or whatever.
Or novelty.
Novelty, right?
I was watching Gangnam Style this morning.
Right. And that's just a novelty thing.
I like that song.
I know.
Don't knock Psy.
Like a regular music video has a shelf life. Unlike a song, a good song will last decades. But even like a moderately cool pop song will last several years, right?
There's a reason why they've got candy pop dance nights at the Satellite, where they play all the early, you know, the Swedes, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, NSYNC, all that stuff.
Yeah,
shows up on the rotation there.
Right. Yeah, I was out getting Korean barbecue, and they had like videos playing, and they're videos that were for like Kelly Clarkson and stuff like that. But it was, I don't know, from 2000, you know, her videos don't have the shelf life, and most people's videos don't have the shelf life of a good song, you know? So, which kind of brings me back to my question of why. Why is it common knowledge or common like groupthink to have like, we have to have the single and the video? Because like I said, down the line, we've talked to artists that it comes out almost like automatic. It comes out going, well, we're going to do a single and then we're going to have a video for this. And, initially you nod your head and go, oh, that sounds like a good plan. That sounds like something that you're supposed to do. But as stepping back from a label thing, I start to think, is it really when there is no large platform for the music video? Yes, YouTube is a huge platform, but it's so big.
It's platforms within platforms.
Right.
Like to say that it's on YouTube is to say that it's like
Yeah.
And all these moments will be lost like so many teardrops in the rain.
Yeah. So anyways, that's kind of my beef.
So to circle back to the beginning, tonight on the show, what we've got tonight, the show comes out at like 3 a.m. East Coast time, something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So this Thursday on the show, we've got a very special guest, a friend of ours, Eleanor Whitledge of the Goops and Honey Bruce, and she is not concerned with videos.
She's one of my favorite people because of that. I think when we first met, she just proclaimed that Eric Clapton was overrated.
Yeah. This was like months ago, and she's still going on about how much she hates him. Well,
and that's funny because, that's, to me, I think Eric Clapton is overrated. Hendrix is in that era and all those type of things. They're much better guitar players. Like Jeff Beck, if you want to look at in that era, like people that were pushing the guitar in like a crazy direction, it was like Jeff Beck was in there. And to me, Clapton is overrated. And it's always in the back of my head. I wander around going, oh, Clapton's overrated. And we're at this party and I just hear her go, Eric Clapton is overrated. I'm like, wait a minute.
Who said that?
Can
I be your friend?
Yeah. So she's fascinating. And, because she was in the Goops and, at the hardcore punk band, but she was a model and stuff like that. So her
story is really crazy. And so to circle back to the beginning, that's what's so interesting kind of about Eleanor is that she checks a lot of these boxes. She's actually got some business to do with a rock opera. She took a long time off of music, like it seems like everybody has when they come in and tell us about it. But she is not trying to play catch up and chase the shiny object, the carrot on the stick, and throw their YouTube videos off into the noise like so many other people are. And I think that that's part of what makes her such a fascinating person.
Right. I do contend that every great thing, every great work, every great song, every great idea has been prefaced with the phrase, fuck it.
I think that's what Beethoven said.
Right? You just think about it. It's just like, well, do we need a video? Fuck it. Fuck it. Why not? Let's do this.
Oh, Debussy, will you write Claire de Lune? I say, fuck it.
Let's do it. Right, exactly. So, that's kind of what I like about her. She's like, well, fuck it, And I think as we wrap up this intro, I think that if more people said fuck it, I think we'd have better tasting coffee.
Let's listen to a quick track by the Goops and then head into the interview with Eleanor.
I like your Dan Electro. No, wait, Dan Armstrong. Okay. I always got them mixed up. My old guitar player had that guitar, and it was literally stolen off of the stage.
By Raz.
By Raz.
I was going to say, I stole that off the
I was
stage.
going to say, no, this is true. We were playing a show at CBGB's, and it was on the stage while we were playing, and it was stolen while we were playing.
Yeah.
Crazy. We still can't figure it out. Like, that is the world's greatest thief.
Did he have an original, like, that one's from 1970?
It was I remember he paid a lot of money for it.
Yeah.
I think it was authentic. It wasn't a reproduction or nonsense. He's kind of one of those guys.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys too.
Yeah, I mean,
People never know what kind of guitar that is. That's my,
There was basses too, wasn't there?
yes.
Yeah. I don't remember what it sounded like. Did it sound amazing?
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of. Rolling Stones' Bitch.
Oh, well, that's why, yeah.
Yeah, that's the song that you want to hear what it sounds like. Yeah.
It's a good one.
That's a good one. Yeah. But this is my wall of midlife crisis right there.
Lovely, really. Nothing to be ashamed of there.
No.
The last time I saw you, we got into a deep dive on Steve Marriott and all this stuff. Remember that? At the weird barbecue at Brian's house?
Weird barbecue. Was it Steve Marriott? There was somebody
Was
we
he
agreed
one of
was
the guy,
overrated.
one of the Marriott family members of the hotel?
That guy. I don't think we want to bring him up.
No, we were talking about we had like agreed that somebody was overrated.
Yeah, who was it?
And I can't remember. There was like an amazing moment where we both went.
Clapton.
It was. It was Clapton.
Oh, it was okay because that was recently on my jag of judgment.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it right here, right now.
Gonna go on the record.
It's gonna go on the record. I think Eric Clapton is an overrated guitar player.
Weird how I've just clammed up all of a sudden, isn't it?
Like you brought it up, hang me out to dry, and then
I know.
nothing.
He's not my favorite.
Who's your favorite?
Oh, that's easy. That's so easy. I have kind of a triumvirate, and they rotate, depending on what kind of mood. Definitely Keith Richards, definitely Mark Bolan, and definitely Mick Ronson. Mick Ronson is usually the top of the pyramid. He's usually there.
Yeah, the Mick Ronson thing.
I mean, they're all kind of a type. They're all kind of in the same similar camp.
Right. No, I agree because I'm like I write like rock music, and that's kind of the tone that I'm going for is that squonk, the Mick Ronson squonk.
Oh, so amazing.
Yeah. So I'm always fascinated by how people kind of got into music. For me, it was Crocodile Rock.
Oh, wow.
I was like 10.
How cool.
Right? I heard Crocodile Rock, and I was like, what?
The Elton John song that turned my head as a child was a little bit later. For whatever reason, I heard Island Girl first before I heard anything else. And then I heard like Benny and the Jets, and I was like, ah! And then that totally...
Eleanor's hair just stood on end, by the way, for our listeners.
But then, I didn't realize that was like a, like an homage or whatever to the real people, like T-Rex and Bowie and
Right, yeah.
all the people that were doing the glam glitter before it was glam.
That's like to me, that was my musical coming online. Like your earliest memory is you going from like, I'm a toddler to all of a sudden, hey, I'm a human, is that memory. That's when you came online. But I think for me as a musician, there's that thing that happens where you hear a song, and it could be anything. It could be Crocodile Rock. And that just makes you go, huh.
Yeah, it sticks with you.
Yeah.
Well, I was lucky. I had older brothers and sisters. I'm the youngest of 4. So my oldest sibling, my brother, is like 17 and a half years older than me. So my 2 oldest siblings really gave me an education. Like I was really lucky. Like I got to listen to, Alice Cooper and Bowie and T-Rex and the Rolling Stones and Neil Young. My sister used to play Neil Young Harvest every night, and I would fall asleep listening to that record. That record is still to this day like, and I know every single note. You know what I mean? Like it's in my cerebral cortex. But I don't know. One of my earliest memories is my mom was grocery shopping, and it was my sister and I, the two younger siblings, in the station wagon by ourselves, because you did that back then, listening to the radio, and Honky Tonk Woman came on the radio, and it blew my mind. I couldn't have been more than 3.5 or 4, because we were still in Kansas, which is where I was born. Really, I was born in Leavenworth, Kansas. And just that cowbell, and like, I just remember dancing in the back seat to that song, and it's still to this day, I think that might be my favorite Rolling Stones song.
How did you end up in New York? You said you were born in Kansas.
Yeah, wow, okay.
Obviously didn't stay in Kansas.
Yeah, born in Kansas. Yeah, I had like a real eye-opening experience when I moved to New York. I worked at this place, the Rodeo Bar, and the person that ran the place was this fella. His name was Mark Campbell. He was a singer in this band called the Nails. He had such an influence on me musically. Like, he just played the greatest music in there. I was a cocktail waitress, and that's where I learned about the Replacements and, did more of a deep dive. I knew about the Stooges, but I didn't know as much about Iggy Pop's solo. All the solo records, Soldier, The Idiot, like all of them. And I had like a punk rock renaissance.
Did you go to New York to like be in music, or just go to New York because you just like needed to find yourself?
I actually, it's like a weird trajectory. I skipped a whole big thing. So I was in school, I was about 16, 17, and I went to these private schools because I used to get into fights when I was at the public school.
Dope.
That's a whole thing. Yeah, I had anger issues. So I went to these private schools, but my family didn't have tons of money, so I had to be like a scholarship student, which I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that is like a one-way trip to getting your head in a toilet swirlied by the rich girls or the cool girls or whatever. Like it was rough because you're the one that's like cleaning up at the, cafeteria. So right around that time, I had a summer job. This is weird. Modeling fur coats at this
summer.
Old school like department store in Allentown called Hess's. You'd walk out on the patio and the ladies of means were there, with their Chanel suits, like having lunch with their girlfriends, and they would be like, I want that fur coat, or I want that. And so that was like a summer job. And I met this woman who ran a modeling agency in New York, and she offered me an opportunity to go to Paris to do some modeling. And I was like, yes, please. And so I did. And it didn't really go well. Like I fell in with a group of like really crazy young girls and just started drinking like a crazy person with them. And I mean, I had an amazing time. But I kind of got fired from the modeling agency, and I got a job in this little like bar or whatever, bartending, and I ended up staying like 9 months and singing with these people on the street. And like, it was a real education. Let me just tell you that.
That's all in Paris?
Yeah. And well, then first of it was in Paris, and then the second half of it was down in Nice on the Riviera. And that's where we really made a lot of money busking. It's like actually busking on the street, singing. And like, I couldn't believe how much money we made. We made like hundreds of dollars every day. Like,
did you wear like a beret and a striped shirt?
I should have.
Just out there with a violin, and you're just singing some.
There was a violin.
Right, like a guy in accordion.
There was a guy with a guitar and a violin, and me. I'm prone to trios, as Bill will attest to. We have a little trio now. But I finally ran out of money and options, and I came home. And a friend of mine was moving to New York, and I was like, I'm going with you. I moved to New York to try and mend fences with this modeling lady. And like, she didn't care at all. She was like, oh, whatever. Yeah, here, do you have pictures? Here, let me. It didn't really come to anything. I ended up working at that place, the rodeo bar, and meeting a bunch of musicians and putting a band together. And I just kind of forgot about the whole modeling thing. I just got bitten by the rock and roll bug, and that was it. I was off to the races.
So you put a group together. What happened? Where did the Goops come in? You guys were signed, right?
Yeah, we had a couple records out on Warner Reprise, and then we had like a little record. A record on like a really little, like a hardcore label called Blackout. Before that was our first record, and
it was a punk rock group.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's how people described us. I would like correct people all the time and just be like, we're just a rock and roll band, because the guitar player and I wrote all the songs, and our main influences were like MC5, Stooges, a lot of Detroit rock and roll. I just feel like those were some of the most formative years of my life, trying to keep that together and keep it happening. And, I was one of the main people contributing to fucking it up because I was a big drunk at the time. And like everybody in the band was sort of like babysitting me constantly to make sure I wasn't walking into traffic or, I was disappearing on tour and, coming to in places where I had no idea where I was, and, in bushes somewhere, like all scraped up and full of dirt. And like, yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's totally funny because, I survived or whatever. But like at the time, like they were I just remember like 3 like faces that were like red as tomatoes. Like that's how mad they were, like just waiting by the van, like like the next day. And I was just like, hey, how's it going? You guys want to get some breakfast? Like just oblivious. So, I was a main contributor to things being difficult. But I just feel for people that are in bands,
It's tough.
It's hard.
Yeah. If you're a musician and you don't sing, you get a lot of...
at the mercy of the singer.
At the mercy of the singer.
Steve Jones talks about that a lot.
Yeah.
I am so sad that he's not on the radio every day like he was. Radio is and was so important to me.
I remember I had a little AM radio dial thing. It was like a gray clock radio next to my bed, and had a big plastic dial.
Yeah,
and
I had one of those.
And I would just turn
Did it have a timer on it?
It did.
So you could fall asleep listening to whatever?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you could turn the dial and you would try to find whatever station was playing, because there was multiple stations playing whatever music. So you just sit there and try to find it and then listen to another song. I would just lay in my bed, wasting my life with trying to find music on I could have been studying math or something.
We all could have.
But we wouldn't be here having like great stories of...
Nope.
No, we'd be wealthy beyond our wildest
Right,
dreams.
Like,
Not having to talk to anybody, just talk to our pile of money. Like
I'm working on this puppet show right now. That's a whole other subject.
Whoa.
No,
I know.
This is
But I
gonna...
I love that, talking to my money. I think I'm going to use that.
Okay, no, tell us about the puppet show.
What is the fuck?
Okay, I'm obsessed with puppets. So in like 2002, 2003, I lived in Silver Lake with my girlfriend, Jen. She was my roommate, and she had this apartment that had this garage that you could walk on top of, and it overlooked that little last block of Griffith Park Boulevard. So we had a captive audience every Saturday or Sunday, I don't remember which, because there was all these people walking to the little farmer's market that was there. And so we were like, hey, one day we were like, let's do a puppet show. Just, because boredom and just weird people that we are. And so we started doing this puppet show, and we had like these little speakers, and we had these characters. One of the characters was Jimmy Page, who was a very powerful wizard. And, you know, like, I'm obsessed with Led Zeppelin. I was, then, and I am now. But, yeah, so we did this puppet show, and people like gathered and, like came to sort of like expect it week after week, and we're like running out of ideas. We're like so we're like recycling plot.
What did Jimmy do this week?
Yeah, and it was just so much fun. I mean, and so that just ignited in me this obsession with, and those puppets were like sock puppets with like a little like elaborate, like they weren't, like they were kind of like the bare minimum of what a puppet could be. And then I discovered Bob Baker and his marionette place. And at one of the Bob Baker shows that I went to, I think I had like a lot of coffee or something. So I was like really like amped. And, there's mostly like just little kids that go there, and their parents and me. I just had this vision of this puppet show that I wanted to do with marionettes, which was like the life and death of Mark Bolan. So I've been working on this for like a year now. And it has become something more than that. Now it's kind of like the story of glam rock, because there's just so much more. Like, you can't tell the story of Mark Bolan without telling the story of David Bowie, because they were so sort of intertwined in the beginning, and they had such similarities in their lives, and they were good friends.
Is it going to be a musical?
How can it not be?
At first I was like, it's got to have the songs of T-Rex, and then I was like, no, maybe I should write original songs. So I'm really right there at that intersection where I'm like writing scenes of dialogue between the characters and like kind of telling the story. I'm like right in the middle of actually writing. I've been musing on it for like a year, and now I'm actually doing like down and dirty, doing the writing. So
you're going to go with the strings as opposed to the hands underneath.
You know what I'd really, really like? I'd love to do like Thunderbirds Are Go version of...
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, really great, right?
Yeah. No, that stuff's amazing.
Oh, it's so good. But it is so labor
What's
intensive.
the name of that style?
It's like puppet stop.
Like Go Motion or something? There's a whole name for
they
that.
had
Captain
strings
Scarlet
and, stuff like
and the
that.
Mysterions.
Yeah. Johnny 60 or something like that. I would rather see like an actual puppet show, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I feel like the marionette thing would be more doable, not as labor intensive, not as expensive, that's for sure.
Right, no, and I think more personal.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of would be for me, because that was the inception, that was the original idea, was marionettes. So it's just kind of hard to make a marionette move like he moved,
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah, no, you're going to have to do, there's a little bit of...
but maybe that would be charming,
I think so.
I've talked to the marionette guys, the puppeteers, the people that work on the puppets themselves, and like they think I'm a complete weirdo.
Well, no, it's good. It's an art form that's truly dying. Bill's always talking about like moving art forwards. I'm always like looking back going,
I think I might be guilty of that too. More leaning toward nostalgia than I'm glad there are people that want to move it forward.
Yeah, you have to, like, you can't be stuck in the past. But let's talk about Honey Bruce here for a second. Tell me how this all came about.
Cover bands. That's how it came about. I was just itching to do something, play, sing with somebody. And I was taking guitar lessons from Brian, our guitar player. And
Is that how you guys met?
Yeah. I think I had like 3 lessons from him. But I really liked him. He was like, we really hit it off. We had a lot of fun conversations, mostly about movies. Some music too, but mostly movies in the beginning. Then I just got really busy with this little business that I have, this dog walking business, and that's all I was doing. So there was like a 9-month lapse or whatever, and then I ran into him someplace, and I was like, hey, we should get together and pick out cover songs and do like a little cover band so that we can make some money. And I don't have to like be working my fingers to the bone with this dog walking business, and I can maybe earn some money doing music too. And he was like, yeah, like he had at that point like just quit 2 of the 3 bands he was playing in, and so he had some time. So we just got together and we just started like listening to a bunch of weird music and picking songs, cover songs for this little project.
What were some of the songs?
Oh, they were so weird. Just weird, like disparate. A couple of Buffy St. Marie songs. God is Alive. Do you know that song? It's
No.
really weird. I love that song.
I mean, it's a good concept for a cover band to do covers that nobody knows.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I just thought, we could just, do some, but there was like a couple Beatles songs in there that were like really fun to sing harmonies on, like stuff like that. And at one point, I brought in one of my originals. I forget why or how. It wasn't because we were going to do that in the set. I played it for him and he was like, wow, this is cool. Let's do this. And I was like, all right. Whatever. It was like a 4-track kind of a thing.
Sure.
And then we listened to like all of them and he was like, let's do all of these songs. And I was just like, because there was like a whole big heartbreaking story about why I never did these solo songs. And, you can just use your imagination. And then he said, I got this friend, Bill. He plays keyboards. Let's get him.
Is that what he told you I played?
Yeah. Let's get him in.
I learned keyboards for this band.
Oh.
Were you officially retired and like...
Something like that.
I'm never going to be in a band or I'm never going to do music again?
Not that bad, but just like these songs that we sometimes do in Honey Bruce, I wrote with this guy, Gary, who's wonderful. I love him. But then there was a couple others that I performed with this other guy, and he had like this meltdown on stage, which was epic. Like he literally curled into a fetal position.
Whoa.
I know, and it like scarred me, and I was just like, "That's it."
That is like a cartoon rendition of a meltdown.
Right. I mean, that literally happened. Like I just was like, and I still to this day don't know what that was about. He just like got up, packed up his stuff, and walked off stage, got in his car, and left. And that was the last time I talked to him. So that was intense, but that's a whole other story.
Did you ever have like any of your bands have the intro tape song?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
and
We
it's
always
all-
used to play Be My Baby before the Goops went on. It just seemed like a very New York song. So we used to go out with hardcore bands.
Really?
We would tour with bands like, and West Coast hardcore bands like Pennywise, Joy Killer, mainly because that was our booking agent. And also that was our label. We were on Blackout. It was like a hardcore label that put records out for like Sick of It All and Gorilla Biscuits and these bands that like, they're cool. They're all friends of mine, but you put the Goops in front of one of those bands and it was like, like it was like a lot of testosterone coming like waving up onto the stage from the crowd. And we actually, toward the end, we toured with Henry Rollins and because we had the same management. And
Is that Rollins' band?
yeah, that was a disaster. They did not really like the Goops, they didn't want to hear from a female, I don't think, and they just, and then our bass player did something really stupid by pantomiming what Henry was doing on stage in the wings, and we got fired off of that tour. I mean, we didn't know what to expect. He would come on stage in dolphin shorts, all greased up, and nothing else, bare feet, and I was just like, what, really? Is this a gay show? Like I really didn't know. I felt like I was just really ignorant. Like I really did not know, like Black Flag. I was never a big Black Flag fan, or DC hardcore. It was just something that kind of passed me by. And I had never seen Henry live, by himself. And then, the first night of the tour, and I saw that he was like, wearing dolphin shorts and all greased up, I was like, oh, this is a gay show. And I was like, that is so cool. Because, back in New York, we played at this place, Squeeze Box, which was like a drag bar, and we had like it was hosted by this amazing drag queen, Miss Guy, and that was like our whole scene. It was like this whole like punk rock, gay drag
That's
thing.
very New York.
Right. And I just was like, oh, this is going to be an amazing tour. This is going to be so cool.
Yeah.
And it began and ended in Poughkeepsie, New York. It was like one show. And boom. And I think that was the last show the band played.
Wow.
Oh.
And our bass player was off in the wings, just like pantomiming everything that Henry was doing on stage. And meanwhile, the stage manager or the tour manager was on the opposite side of the stage watching him and just like steam coming out of his ears. And
do you ever find out why he did that? Your bass player?
Why he did the pantomime thing?
Yeah. That's an odd thing to do.
Yeah, he was odd. I actually just had a little conversation with him, like a text
A
back
digital
and forth.
conversation.
Yeah. For the first time in, like 20 some years or whatever.
Oh, I was going to ask if you're in contact with any of these people anymore.
I mean, I am, except for the bass player. I'm in contact with the drummer and the guitar player. They're like my oldest friends in the world, and they're like brothers to me. But yeah, Stiff.
Dude's name was Stiff?
Well, his name was Steve, and he had a favorite bodega grocer that lived downstairs from him that would call him Stiff. And he thought that was very funny, so that's who he became Stiff. That whole incident was just, we were just so incensed that he would, do what he did. We never even asked him, why did you do it? You know what I mean? Like he would do crazy things, and I would do crazy things. So it was just sort of like in the context of craziness.
Right, that just goes back to being in a band. It's like a dysfunctional family.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no,
like the question why never even really came up. I mean, maybe it did. I just don't remember. Yeah. But we fired him like soon after that. And then it all fell apart. Our drummer quit. And the guitar player and I came out here to LA. I had a boyfriend out here, so I was out here a lot. And we tried to, mush it together again with a new rhythm section, and it just like a pudding that wouldn't gel. It just was like bleh. And it just fell apart.
Right, so that was your last band before Honey Bruce. Then.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
That was a long time ago. That was like 96 when that fell apart.
Wow. That's a long hiatus.
I know. I feel like I've been in, like suspended animation up in that circular spaceship in 2001.
You were on the shittiest time machine.
Yeah. No, I had a 5-year hiatus from I was like, fuck it, I'm just done being a musician. I can't handle this anymore.
I get it. It's painful. We get very dramatic about it and very Baroque. And it is just kind of very simple. Like, just play. Yeah. I mean, you have to boil it down to stuff like that. And that's kind of what I do mentally in order to like not have like a big like nervous conniption about playing. Is just like, just sing. Even if I'm sort of lying to myself in a weird way, it kind of works. You haven't heard my Jackson Browne story.
Who's that?
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it. You don't have a Jackson Browne story, Bill?
Who's that? I don't know if I should tell this story.
Go ahead, tell me the Jackson Browne story.
Let me just say that I have the utmost respect for Jackson Browne and his songwriting. I actually just heard that song it's like one of the big songs you hear on AM radio, The Loadout mixed with Stay, which I had a little radio damage and I never really appreciated. When you hear something like Good Vibrations or whatever, you can't appreciate that it's like this genius piece of work because it's just like, Star-Kissed or Sun-Kissed commercial or whatever. So, but I heard it just like a week ago and I was on the verge of weeping. Like in the beginning part of the song, it's so sincere. Like, you better make sure you've got it all ready to go before you come for my piano. He just wants to play. I mean, it's good for him. It's amazing. He's a great songwriter. But back in 1994, when we were being courted by Reprise, when I was a smart-ass punk rock drunkard, they took us to the Grammys to sort of seal the deal, to impress us, to dazzle us, and it worked. We ended up signing with them. And we saw all these celebrities. We saw Tommy Lee, we saw just all of these. I met Bruce Springsteen. I had a long conversation with Bruce Springsteen at the bar. Oh my God, I have a picture of him. And he told us the one thing he said, always make sure you have the right to sell your own records. Because when you get dropped from your label, that's how you're going to make a living. When you're out touring, you sell your records out of the trunk of your car. And I was just like, ha! Get dropped from our label. That's not going to happen. But, that was all. Like I was young and naive. He actually said that when you get dropped from your label. He didn't say if. Yeah. So one of the people that was, milling about was Jackson Browne. And I think it was the bass player again, like, egging me on. He was like, look at their Jackson Browne. And I was just like, boy, is he handsome. It's like, I can't stand his music now. And Stiff was like, why don't you go tell him that? Stiff was from Canarsie. He was like, why don't you go tell him that? I was like, okay, I will. So I walked right up to, he was like in the middle of conversation, probably with like Ahmet Erdogan or somebody. And I was like, excuse me, you are the most handsome man I've ever seen, but I cannot stand your music. And he did one of these. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Like he completely ignored me. It was the greatest, like good for him. Like ignore the drunk chick. And I'm a little ashamed to this day that I did that, but makes a slightly entertaining story.
It is. No, it's a good story. And
he was handsome. Oh my Lord.
Yeah, there's no denying that.
Lordy.
I think Ignore the Drunk Chick should be the name of your book.
Okay.
Like your rock and roll, like.
Yes.
Because everybody
the memoir.
Yeah, do you get that a lot? Do you get like because you have some rock and roll stories.
I did get a lot, yeah, and I was just like, yeah, but I don't remember anything. I was drunk the whole time. But I do. I remember a lot. Okay, well, let's end on a positive note.
Let's end on a positive note. Tell me what's going on with Honey Bruce.
Well, the plan was we were going to write and record. We've written a couple of original songs, all of us, and.
Brian too? Wait, what?
The stuff that we most recently worked on.
Oh, okay. My bad. I thought you were saying like each of us has songs that we're bringing in.
No, I feel like that's my favorite way
I was like,
to
shit,
work.
I forgot to write that book report over my summer vacation. Like,
you're like dun, dun, dun. That weird like you start sweating. Like, oh God, I'm in first period without my pants on. Or whatever. But enough about my sexual fantasies. Yeah, this is what we talked about. We were gonna
we're gonna record what we've got.
Work further on them and record. Then create some more material because we don't even have enough of it for a set. You've been to our shows. We've had like 5 or 6 songs and that's it. So we need to do that. And that's my favorite thing to do is to work in collaboration with 1 or 2 other people. I don't like writing songs on my own. It's just not as fun.
That wasn't a happy note.
Okay, let me tell you this then.
Okay.
Talking about on a positive note. One of those other early Silicon Valley guys whose name I cannot remember.
Wozniak.
Not that guy. No, he's like a lesser known, like maybe, I can't remember. Anyway, the point is he created this algorithm that was able to count all of the poachers and all of the elephants in Africa and track them to the point where they had so much data that the AI could then predict where the poachers were going to go to kill the elephants because they've killed like 1/3 of all the elephants in Africa in the last 10 years. Like it's really ramped up since they've made ivory illegal, made it more valuable. And so now they're at the point where poaching is down to like 1% of what it was before, because the big guys, the big cheese poachers are in jail right now.
So the same institution that is keeping musicians poor is at least making sure that elephants aren't
Exactly
getting
Yeah,
poached.
in the grand scheme of things, what do musicians matter against a global ecosystem?
There you go. I think that's a good trade-off.
I'll take it.
And we'll leave it at that. So Eleanor, thank you for being on the green couch.
Thank you for asking me. It was really fun.
On the Green Couch is a production of ArtSchool Records in conjunction with and recorded at Project 4 Studios in Burbank, California. The show is edited by Raz, with additional production support by Dixie Trussell. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review us in Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. It all goes to helping other people find us. For more information, please visit our forever home on the web at artschoolrecords.com. I'm Bill Zunkin, and thanks for listening.